first off, no spoilers, but can you tease a little bit about what's to come in season 2?
Well, I think that, the audience has been promised a collision of Ghost and Angela and the truth, sort of those three forces all coming together. And we definitely deliver on that. I mean, I think it's so important not to mess with your audience and tease them in a way that you're not going to pay off. So we definitely pay off at least some of the main questions that were asked in season 1, for sure.
Now, Ghost opens Truth for a reason, but he's also very passionate about making it a successful club. So if you personally had to open up your own cover-up business, what kind of business would you choose?
Oh, that's a great question. I probably would be a makeup artist, because that's what I did first.
That's what Natari said.
Yeah, I would probably be a makeup artist, but I guess I'd have to get paid in cash. But that would be it. That's amazing.
So now, is there any chance that we could possibly see a Ghost and Tommy flashback?
Well, it's interesting. I find that flashbacks and voiceover make things way easier to tell. So I challenge my writers never to use them. That said, if we are fortunate enough to have multiple seasons, I have a really good flashback planned.
What's your long-term plan? Because I feel like lately, more so than ever, I'm always writing about showrunners who have, 6 or 7 seasons mapped out just in case. Is that kind of a requirement at this point, or is it putting the cart before the horse?
No, it's actually, traditionally when you go in to pitch a show, you need to be able to answer questions about 5 seasons. So I walked into the room knowing at least that much, and maybe a little bit more. It doesn't mean that every single thing is in advance, but there are certain tentpoles you've got to know because you have to know if these characters have a life. Otherwise, it's a movie.
That's fair. Now, can you tell me a little bit about naming Truth? Because the name obviously has a meaning, but I was wondering if you had tossed around other ideas that maybe weren't so on the nose.
That's a great question also. You know what? No, we didn't toss around other ideas because in the process of writing the pilot, I just thought, okay, let me just go straight at it and I'll come up with something cooler later. And then I never came up with anything cooler. And then it cleared and it was like, okay, great, here we are. But it's actually really helpful because it makes it very simple. The Ghost is always looking for truth.
How about keeping your main characters likable? Because that was one thing I was experiencing a lot throughout season 1, was like 1 second I'm like, Ghost, how are you cheating on Tasha? But then the next, I'm like, wait, Tasha, you want to do a drug dealing business, that's just wrong. So how do you make sure that the audience is kind of with the 4 main characters when they need to be?
Well, my argument or my sort of philosophy is as long as the audience understands why the character is doing something, they're with them. So it isn't that you would do it. I don't think that you would necessarily deal drugs or,
Well, clearly I've been thinking about the cover-up business thing a lot.
Totally. But, we wouldn't necessarily cheat on our spouses or those things. But if we understand why the person makes that choice, we can be with them. It doesn't mean that they're likable. It means they're understandable and relatable, and that's a different thing. Ghost isn't necessarily a hero, but he's very relatable because he's so flawed.
Now, someone teased to me that there could be a pet coming into the show, and I'm like a little uncomfortable about this idea because I can't handle seeing anything bad happen to an animal on screen. So, should I be prepared?
No, you should not be prepared for anything bad to happen to an animal.
Can stop sweating now. Can you tell me a little bit about the production of the show? Because New York show before, and now you're going to Miami a little. So was that kind of your way of going bigger production-wise and scale-wise?
Well, part of it had to do with the fact that shooting in New York is so hard, and it's great for the crew to get a little bit of sun, vitamin D. Everyone gets has a better attitude. But the truth is that shooting in New York in the winter, as we do, is so intense. It's an intense part of the birthing process of the show, and it makes us all closer. And really, we're all in the trenches together.
Now, I will save this for when the episode airs, but can you tell me about Ghost and Tommy's names? Because Thomas Patrick Egan and James St. Patrick, was that done on purpose?
Well, it's funny. The St. Patrick for Ghost came in because we really wanted him to have not only a name that sounded a little West Indian, which reflects 50s background, but we also wanted him to really have this, the word saint in the name, the religiosity about that, the idea of spirituality somewhere in the character. And then as for Thomas Patrick Egan, we just wanted him to have the most Irish possible name. And so there we went, and it ended up that they had a name in common, which was sort of great, because it's kind of how kids would become friends. So that worked out too.